there, this is Vicki Parks Murphy with Berkshire Hathaway. I'm here again with the wonderful Nancy Everett in our second series on lending, and we're talking a little bit about myths. And there are so many myths out there for first-time home buyers, especially in terms of what they can expect when they go through the mortgage approval process. Maybe you can talk a little bit first off about, is it difficult? Is this a hard thing to go and apply for a loan?
Actually, Vicki, it's pretty simple, and I try to make it very painless for the buyer. They can either meet or we can do it over the phone. Most people do it over the phone, surprisingly.
Yeah.
But it's very simple. For instance, for a salaried person, I'm looking for a pay stub, W-2s, and a bank statement showing they have the money for the down payment and for the closing costs.
Great.
So it's pretty simple. If they're getting gift money, I don't really need the information from the donor. I just need to know how much they're putting down. So it's a pretty simple process.
Yeah.
And I try to do it in about 24 hours once I get the information from the borrower.
That's
Always
great.
run their credit.
Mhm.
That's key.
Mhm.
But it's pretty simple for the borrower and pretty quick.
That's great. So 24-hour turnaround, and then you have your answer and
You
you
do.
know what you're approved for.
You do.
So talk a little bit, Nancy, about some of the options that are available for people who come in looking for a loan. There's lots of different types, right? So
There are. And people typically think, I want a 30-year fix no matter what. And one of the early questions I ask early on is, how long do you think you're going to be in the property? And they'll say 3 to 5 years, 5 to 7 years. And I try to match the product type to what the client is looking for in terms of timing.
Okay.
Because the longer the interest rate period, i.e. a 30, has a higher rate and a higher payment. So maybe somebody will be looking for a 7-year arm, so the rate is fixed for 7 years, and it's got a lower rate, a lower payment. And you know, it's all about payment, Vicki, because
Right.
that's what people care about, is the payment.
Absolutely.
So I try to match the product with what the borrower's goal is.
And that's really interesting too, because sometimes people think, they just want to get in on the ladder. They want to get on that property ladder, and maybe they hadn't thought about, okay, well, I can be in an apartment for 5 years. I can survive that. And then that'll move them up. They'll build that equity, and then they can get into a house.
Very true.
And speaking of, maybe starting a little bit smaller, I know sometimes when buyers come to me, they think, well, I have to have 20% down, otherwise I can't even, walk into this. So is that true? Do you have to have 20%
No,
more,
you
or?
don't. You can do as little as a 3.5% down payment. The big breaks are 3.5%, 5%, 10%, and then 20%. So it's very, very common that a first-time buyer will put less than 20% down, because by the time it takes them to save 20%, the market may have gone up and rates have gone up. So they're defeating that purpose when we can get them into a property that they can afford the payment with a smaller down payment.
That's great. No, it's really good information to have for people who are considering buying a home. So thank you so much, Nancy, for coming in today, dispelling these myths so that we can help people out, get them into a home. So if you guys have any questions, you can contact Nancy or you can contact myself, and we'll work on finding you guys a house. So thanks, Nancy.
Sounds great, Vicki. Thank you.